Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
The Bears are able to produce moments of magic in the same way that Patrick Mahomes can produce moments of magic. And it's not just like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes is pretty lucky all the time. No, maybe Patrick Mahomes is just very good at those sorts of things. And that is what Caleb Williams can do.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're here to preview what some say is the best week of the season with our NFL Divisional Round preview here in the playoffs. Myself and Byron were in the show this week. Joe's out. Byron, how are you? Great week of football to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's got something to live up to after last week. But yeah, it should be 4 absolute banger games. Got a good division rivalry game as well. The Rams coming across the country to play in the cold and snow, potentially, with Chicago. And then, yeah, 2 really tight AFC games. So should be a good one. And I believe we've got a special guest coming on for the Bears preview as well, right?
We do have a very special guest, Ben Isaacs. You can catch him on TalkSport, the Nat Coombs Show, College Days podcast, which is also part of the Nat Coombs network, I guess. Ben is a big Chicago Bears fan. Also, the author of a fantastic book, The American Football Revolution, How Britain Fell in Love with the NFL. The link for that book is in the episode description. You'll hear Ben talk about it as part of his guest spot. But big Chicago Bears fan, he's going to help us preview the 4th game and final game of the Divisional Round. Before we get into those 4 games, though, and share our best bets and do all the things that we usually do here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover, some more goings on in the head coaching carousel. After Monday Night Football, the Steelers fell 30-6 to the Texans. We didn't talk about that because we recorded on Monday night, but all in all, Steelers kept it close. Texans offense was awful, and then Texans defense just completely took over, scored the touchdowns, and possibly the end of Aaron Rodgers. But it is the end of Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. A 19-year run is come to a close, and it was Tuesday afternoon, and I think after much thought and reflection, well, it was less than 24 hours after being eliminated from the playoffs, so potentially it was always on the cards. Unbelievable run from Tomlin. You know, we always talk about all the great Mike Tomlin stats, but never had a losing season. 19 years is a heck of an achievement. Of course, the Super Bowl in the early years, was it the second year?
Second, I believe, yeah.
Second season, yeah.
Went to another.
Went to another. 13 playoff appearances in 19 years, and a level of consistency that, you know, the vast majority of NFL franchises could only dream of. What do you make of Tomlin and the Steelers parting ways, Byron?
I think it's the right decision. I think they're probably in for a bit of a heavy rebuild, truthfully. There's no quarterback on the roster. They don't have an early pick this year. I don't believe they have a second-round pick for the DK Metcalf. That might have been last year's pick, actually. But anyway, they don't have early picks to pick a quarterback. And in this year's class, we'll get into it as we get close to the draft, but I'm not sure there's a quarterback worth taking past 1. And I'm not sure how sold we are on Francisco Mendoza, truthfully. But I mean, again, there's another conversation for another time. Tomlin, incredible record. I think he's going to take a year out and be on TV for at least a year. And you might see how much he enjoys it and how much he wants to get back into the, you know, not many organizations like Pittsburgh, where you're guaranteed steady ownership. You're guaranteed no reckless decisions. Maybe things are a little too steady there in this day and age, perhaps. We'll see where they go, obviously, with their next head coach. But I don't think you can say enough good things about the job Mike Tomlin done. Art Rooney said, you know, that 19 years without a losing record never be duplicated. I completely agree. It's just incredible level of consistency. And, I mean, we can take our shots at the Browns and the Bengals, but, I mean, the Ravens have been in that division the entire time. They're a top-tier NFL franchise. To never have 1 losing season, and, you know, Ben Roethlisberger, Hall of Fame quarterback, he hasn't been there for
5 seasons now, yeah.
A good number of years, yeah. And it's been kind of a wild cast of characters at quarterback in that time, and he's still kept them at 500 or above all that time. You can look at the playoff failures, and, you know, I think that's why it is the right time. Like, I think ultimately he's taken them probably as long as he can with this model. And I'm really interested to see where the Steelers go. I'm really interested to see what Mike Tomlin's future is as well. You know me, I like digging into number 1 histories. I'm not expecting to get this, but do you know what the number one single was in the US on the day Mike Tomlin was hired, the 22nd of January 2007?
January 2007. I'm going to go like Black Eyed Peas. Where is that? The one we've had? I can't remember any of their songs, but
it's not Black Eyed Peas of any song of theirs, but it is. I thought it was really fitting. That's why I bring it up. It's Beyonce, and the single was Irreplaceable, and they'll certainly be hoping he isn't. So, best wishes to Mike Tomlin. I think, again, a real character, a real good guy in the league. I've been enjoying reading some of the stories about him, like turning up at the Senior Bowl and like just having fun with like players and coaches when he doesn't need to be there. You know, he could send a scout. Someone who truly loves football, and I think truly like embodied his franchise for the entire time he was head coach. Real tough guy, real tough organization, and I just can't wait to see what's next for him, because football will be I'm not saying necessarily a sadder place, but it'll be a quieter place without him. He's a real character of the game.
Yeah, so I've spoken enough about Mike Tomlin. I'm a big fan of his, and he's only 53 as well. I think obviously he took the job, relatively young, so he's still got, when we look at where some coaches are. You just had Pete Carroll coaching at 73, Andy Reid's up there, Belichick went to early 70s. So
the hottest coach in college is 65, right? Curtis Ignetti.
Yeah, so
he's never too late.
Run at least. Yeah, Tom's got another run at least. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I think you're right. Yeah, I think it sounds like he's not going to coach in 26, be on TV. He will be great on TV. He's made for television, and Fox seems to be the one that the noise that's around him, but he will be tremendous on TV. So looking forward to that next year. Someone else who's looking forward to next year is John Harbaugh, because he's pretty much deal done to go to the New York Giants. Certainly felt like Harbaugh had the pick. Whoever interviewed him, he was going to have the choice of whether he was going to go there or not, rather than the franchise picking him. Settled for the Giants. How do we feel that fit of kind of the old school CEO head coach style of John Harbaugh is going to work with kind of what's going on with the G-men in New York?
Yeah, a really interesting one as well, I think. And by all accounts, the Giants basically wouldn't let him out of the building yesterday. He was due to interview with Tennessee, I believe, Friday or Saturday, and the Giants like, no, you're staying here. I believe he's getting $20 million a year over 5 years. Gets to pick his own staff. Anthony Weaver, I believe, from the Dolphins, is going to be his DC, and a lot of talk that Todd Monken's going to come across with him as OC, which I think is a great fit for Jackson Dart. You've seen what he's done with Lamar the last few years. Seen what he's done in Tampa before that. I think it was a really good NFL OC. So I think that's really good steps. And it's funny because the problem with Brian Daboll, and I think ultimately the reason he got fired, is they gave away so many games in the fourth quarter this year. But there's one man that I might not want to bring in to stop that happening. The reason he's probably been fired from the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh, is because they threw away so many games with leads. So it's kind of interesting that that's the case, but I think it's a huge step up. I quite like Brian Daboll as a OC. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't say guru, but a quarterback whisperer-ish. And I'll be interested to see where he goes as an OC next. Philadelphia, I think, would be an interesting fit for Daboll. But I think it's just a really good day for Giants fans. They've got a really strong core. Like, Malik Nabers is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Andrew Thomas is a great left tackle. Jackson Dart is a promising quarterback. We'll see, as he moves along. Abdul Carter had a great second half of the season. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. I said Dexter Williams. Dexter Lawrence. Kevin Thibodeau. They have players. And I think next year might not be a great one to be an NFC East team, because the Eagles are going to improve. We'll see what the Cowboys do. Washington are going to be better than last year. They have to be. And I think the Giants could take a huge step forward. I do have a little trivia question for you, though.
Oh, go on.
Can you name the 7 head coaches, including interims, I will say, because one's this year, who were the Giants head coaches during John Harbaugh's time with the Ravens?
So the 7 during John Harbaugh. So Tom Coughlin.
Yep. He's the first.
He's the first. Ben McAdoo.
Yep.
Pat Shermer.
Yep.
Joe Judge.
Yep.
Brian Daboll.
Yep.
Kafka.
Yep. You're missing the one between Shermer and McAdoo. And you know the guy.
Is that an interim?
No.
McAdoo, Judge.
You've done great to get 6 of them. I'm really impressed.
McAdoo, Judge. No.
DC in the league, a very good one.
Oh, Spags.
Steve Spagnuolo,
yeah. Spags.
7 with 1 clue. Very good job.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about John Harbaugh to the Giants?
Very terrified. I think it's a good the way the division is at the minute. I think as well, it's a good kind of the timing's kind of real. I think timing's right, and I just think probably what the New York Giants as a whole have lacked is just leadership.
Yeah.
And like I say, Harbaugh is a throwback head coach. You don't have the all head coaches now in the NFL are either offensive or defensive guys. Harbaugh's not. He's a special teams guy, but I mean, the Ravens didn't get that right a lot in the last, part of his run. But he's not. He's a leader. He's a CEO. He's putting people. It's about getting the right people in, empowering them to be, to own their side of the ball. Leader of men approach, and it's old school. I'm interested if that now works. That works when you're in situ somewhere, but if going somewhere fresh, whether that works or not. But I just think he's a really, really good, solid head coach, and he will just give them a baseline of competence that they've been missing for quite a while, I think. So, yeah, just about getting those appointment rights and letting him go, because they certainly do have some pieces. And I think the NFC East is there to be won. Philadelphia are going to be going through a lot of change with the way just how disappointing their kind of season ended up being, despite them winning a lot of games. Cowboys in a bit of a state of flux. Commanders seem a bit of a mess. I think the NFC East is there to be won for the Giants potentially, and without having to make, it's a big step because they won 3 games or 4 games or whatever. But you get 10 wins, Matt, winning the NFC. So I will say, and they also have that brutal schedule, which should be a bit easier, of course. So yeah, Harbaugh in Big Blue. Right, that's the news done. Let's get to the games. First up on Saturday, the Saturday early game. I think I said Sunday and I failed recalling, but Saturday early game. The Buffalo Bills are 1.5-point underdogs on the road at the Denver Broncos. The over-under is 46. Bills were favourites to open up when the games were set, which was interesting, but not now. A Superman adventure, or will this be his kryptonix? Once again, Josh Allen has to don his cape if Bills are to overcome on the road in the playoffs. Can Denver's defense do enough to let Bo steal the show? How are we feeling about this one? The Bills secured their first road win in the playoffs in 30 years last week with that tight win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh Allen did everything. He's down another couple of receivers with injury. How do you think this matchup goes, Byron?
This is the one I've struggled the most with. I picked the Bills on ATS. If I'd picked the Broncos, I wouldn't have been surprised. It was literally how I was feeling at that time. I could happily swing to the Broncos by the time we do the 4-4 challenge or 2-4 challenges it is this week. I really don't have a good feel in this game. I do know that it's not going to get easy on the road for the Bills this week, though, because the Broncos 8-1 at home this season. That defense is not to be played with. I think if they can get enough pressure to Josh Allen, I think the Broncos win. I think that's kind of the do or die of this game, that battle on that trench in particular. The Bills' really good offensive line versus the Broncos' top 3 in the league defensive line, maybe top 2. I think anyone but the Texans, you could argue, maybe the Seahawks, and then the Broncos. So if they can get pressure on Josh Allen enough to impact his game, I think the Broncos take it. If Josh Allen can pop his cape on and be Superman again with his 3 fit wide receivers, I think it's literally, I'm forgetting some. It's Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Brandon Cooks. I think that's literally the 3 wide receivers they have fit. Curtis Samuel is eligible to come off IR, but I don't believe he's come off it as yet. And I mean, it's the divisional round of the playoffs. If Curtis Samuel is your get out of jail card, then I think you might be looking at a death penalty rather than a absence of the prison. So yeah, the more I talk about this game, the more I think about it, I'm leaning Broncos, even though I picked the Bills ATS. But I might change by the end of this recording because Josh Allen is Josh Allen and he can do superhuman things. Bo Nix, I think, has had a solid season, but I still kind of worry when the lights are brightest. Is Sean Payton going to allow him to, I'm not going to say express himself, but go downfield more? I often think there's a kind of a limit on Bo Nix, and Sean Payton does really well to scheme around that. In the bigger spot, might he have to try and don his own cape? We shall see.
It's such an interesting matchup. My worry is this might just be one step too much for the Bills. Mm-hmm. I think you're going on, you're so banged up, and you're going into Denver on 1 week rest, and there's always rest for your rust, right? Are the Bills better for coming through a tough, real tough game, or are the Broncos better off having that weaker rest and taking a breather. But I'm just worried that it is just too much. Like, what if what if another of those wide receivers goes down? Like, what, you just margin for error is so thin. I think the two tight ends are going to need to step up and have big games.
Yep.
Kincaid and Knox. I think they're going to have huge games. And somehow, I think we saw obviously key in this. The secondary made key plays last week against Jaguars, and they did a relatively good job of keeping things in check. Because again, wide receivers as a group, the Jags great options. I think they managed to do a pretty good job of keeping things in check. So, BTJ and Chobe Myers didn't really have much of an influence on the game. Pack Washington had a relatively big game, but yeah, so that's where kind of Tre'Davious White stepped up and made a big play. Cole Bishop comes with the interception. You need Benford for sure. So I don't know. My worry is this is just one too far. Having to fight these fights on the road, so banged up. I just think it's so tough.
Go on, just one thing before we do flip. Just on that rest versus rust. Sean Payton in Denver, 3 years now. Every year after a bye, they've won, including 2023, his first year, where they beat the Bills. So there is a little history there as well.
And these two did meet in the playoffs last year. It was in the wild card round. It was in Buffalo.
Yeah. It was a rude awakening for rookie Bo Nix, that one.
It was, yeah. It was a tough day for Bo Nix, and this defense, while obviously it was good, Josh Allen was able to kind of pick them apart. It was 31-7, didn't it? Was it 31-7? Yeah, 31-7. So this is the first time they're meeting in the playoffs in Denver, which is interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. Should we have a look at our bets, Byron?
Yeah.
Let's do Joe's first. Do you want to pick up in the absence of Joe?
Yeah, so 17-4. Joe's gone anytime touchdown for Dawson Knox. Talked a lot about, not a lot, but no wide receivers available really, just the three. So I think we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel for the Bills. My apologies. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox running the field a ton. And Dawson Knox, I think he's got 4 touchdowns on the season. And he is the more vertical of the two. So I think he's going to be kind of like, they're going down the seam, threatening those linebackers in that position. I think it's a really solid bet here. Josh Allen loves throwing to Dawson Knox in the end zone. So yeah, just over 4-1, I think it's a really solid bet.
I think Joe's had this a few times and cashed it a couple of times through the season when Bills have been in featured games. So yeah, I like it. We will see if we had 14 winning playoff bets to kick off the season last week, including Byron's massive 20-1 shot on Caleb Williams as the passing leader. We're on 283 winning bets for the season since week 1. And that's just since week 1, never mind our preseason ones, which will definitely take us over 300. But we're looking for 300 winning in-season bets. So let's see if we can get there. I think we will. I think we've got 17 in us across the remaining 7 games. So it's a lot. It's nearly 3 games we need to hit.
I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm confident. Let's go over to your first bet of the week then, Byron.
Yeah, I've gone Bo Nix anytime touchdown scorer on the ground, obviously, unless he catches one. Don't think he will. 4 rushing touchdowns last year, 5 this year. I think he's just a real threat with his feet when he gets allowed to run. Again, I don't think Sean Payton utilizes him enough on the ground, but again, RJ Harvey will take the bulk of the work, but J.K. Dobbins obviously not back. I think he's just a really interesting wrinkle, maybe some RPO stuff in and around the goal line. Get Bo Nix in the end zone at 3-1.
Excellent. My bet for this one, in spite of my reservations, give me the Buffalo Bills. Bills plus 1.5. Give me Josh Allen plus money. When they were minus 1.5 to start the week, I was a bit wary. Yeah. I'll take the 1.5. I think this is going to be close. I think it's going to go down to the last play. Give me the Bills plus the 1.5 to get to an AFC Championship game. I think we're getting Bills Patriots AFC Championship game, which will be fantastic after they split the series. So give me the Bills. I just think they're going to find a way. Denver Broncos didn't look particularly convincing down the stretch, I think. And we talk about finding ways to win. Absolutely, the Broncos did that. They had a lot of comebacks. They found ways to win late in games. But I think there's too much of them games like against when they really struggled against the Chargers, struggled against the Raiders, stuff like that. Where I'm going, I think the Bills can get you, and more importantly, I think Josh Allen's going to get you, and it is going to have to be him. I think he's going to have to maybe have to do a little bit more through the air. He's so banged up, and that's my worry is that the Broncos could just knock him out of the game. Yeah, and that's the worry with this, because obviously he had a knee, a hand, head.
I'm just picturing Mitch Trubisky getting a Nick Foles statue at the new stadium. That's all I'm seeing.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, the Mitch pitch, maybe.
Oh, I like that. There we go.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's going to be Josh
along
Allen.
the fleur-leaf clover.
The fleur-leaf clover that nobody's interested in. It's outrageous. If the Saints,
they'll take the Mitch
making
pitch.
that, yeah, take the Mitch pitch. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bills plus the 1.5. I think this is the year. I picked them at the start of the season to win it. I didn't think this was going to be the situation, but I think they can still do it. So I'm going to take the Bills plus the 1.5. Moving on to our second game, we've got the Saturday night game. Which is a shame. Me and Joe are going to go out and watch this, but it's all at 1:00 in the morning, so I don't think we're going to, as Joe's in the UK, which is sad. But 49ers, 7.5-point underdogs. That feels like a lot of points. At the Seattle Seahawks, over-under is 45. Wild West Showdown Part 3. Who comes out on top after splitting the season series 1-1? Do the banged-up Niners have one more push, or are the rested Hawks too much to overcome? Take the lead, Byron, because my voice is going to go.
Yeah. I mean, short and simple, I think the Niners have too much to overcome. George Kittle, just another season-ending injury, a brutal one. His Achilles. You don't even know what state it'll be in next year, but we're not talking next year just yet. I think the Seahawks just have too much. That defensive line is going to cause havoc for Kyle Shanahan's offense again. You know, they just put up 3 points 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago. And since then, the Seahawks have been off, resting, relaxing, hopefully not too relaxed. And again, the last Mike McDonald off a bye has won and covered the spread in both games in his head coaching career. I just think it's just too much. The 49ers are so banged up. Trent Williams is going to have to be Superman if this line can hold up, because when he goes missing, it doesn't, we talked about this previously, he doesn't just impact the left tackle position, he impacts left tackle to right tackle and everything in between. Purdy can't go without Kittle and Trent Williams. I just don't believe it's possible. I give Kyle Shanahan so much credit for the coaching jobs he's done. I didn't think they stood a chance against the Eagles, but the Eagles let them get out the building with it because the Eagles were appalling on offense. I don't think you're going to get that from the Seahawks. I think Clint Kubiak going to be in his bag. I think Rashid Shaheed's going to be a real weapon in this game because the 49ers can't tackle. The 49ers can't get a pass rush. It sucks because at full strength, this is an incredible matchup. And I said this about the Eagles last week and I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong twice in a row. I don't think I'm going to be wrong this week. I think the Seahawks blow the Niners completely out.
I've taken the Niners ATS just on it's so many points. It's 7.5 points. And, they played 2 weeks ago. And what was it? I think there were 1.5-point underdogs, maybe the Niners. I think it was something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Not the sheet. It'll be on the sheet, yeah. So, yeah, 7.5 just seems a lot 2 weeks later. I know some things have changed, including George Kittle being out. There were 1.5-point underdogs at home, and I know they're on the road in Seattle. Seattle have got a bye.
They did lose that one by 10 points.
Yeah, it was 13-3, wasn't it? So I guess they did lose it by 10. But it was a real low-scoring game, and the Niners very much had the bend but don't break defense, and they would, I suppose, just need to try and find a way to generate some more offense. Sam Darnold has an oblique injury. This flashed up 15 minutes ago on ESPN. He came out of practice today, which is quite the injury for your quarterback. It maybe didn't affect other players in the same way, but for a quarterback, it would be quite a uncomfortable, difficult injury to deal with if he really has twinged it. Obviously, it's pure precaution for him to come out, which suggests he's probably okay. But Darnold said he felt a little something in his left side. I wonder if that plays into things as well, because that could be quite difficult for Darnold and the Seahawks to deal with. They maybe can't move the ball through the air as much because he's going to get time. I don't know how the 49ers generate a pass rush because it's not been there for the vast majority of the season. But again, I don't know. I think they're going to find a way to keep this close. I think Shanahan can come up with some bits to try and generate offense and keep it close. And I think the defense will do the same job it did last time in terms of, again, bending, not breaking. They were helped out, I think, by Myers, a couple of missed kicks as well, weren't they? So, might be a bit different. But I just think they're going to keep it close. Seahawks, I think, will win, but I think the Niners are going to cover the plus 7.5. Should we have a look at our bet straight up?
Let's go.
Me first, under 45. I think this is tight. I think this is close. Again, obviously, Niners, I think, might struggle to put points up again just with losing the way again with Kittle and more injuries. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be close. And I was leaning to go the 7.5, but I'm just going to take the under 45. I think the Seahawks probably going to try the same strategy again, take a lot of time out of the game with a running game and try and kill them with Charbonnet and Walker, and especially probably doing that more if Darnold is actually hurt, which may be the case. So under 45. Byron, I don't know whether it's you or Joe coming up next, so let's find out. It's Joe's bet.
Yeah, Joe's gone Jake Tonges, 60+ receiving yards. He's done it once in his career, but do you know when he done it? Just 2 games ago. I don't know if he got it was 3 games ago, but I don't know if he played against the Niners. He didn't get a target. Against the Bears, he got 60 receiving yards, and it's at 7-2. No George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall questionable, which I think it really is kind of double barrel surname at this point. Ricky Pearsall questionable. So it's Juwan Jennings, CMC, and Jake Tonges to lead the charge. Again, I think it's a real nice price. You can throw on Seattle on tight ends, especially. That is their weak spot on the defense. So 60+ receiving yards at 72, I think 7-2. I think it's a really nice price.
Yeah. Also, so don't forget, under Shanahan, when the Niners make the playoffs, they at least make the NFC Championship game. They either miss the playoffs completely or get to the NFC Championship game. So, and then your bet, Byron.
Yeah, I've gone Kenneth Walker 80+ rushing yards at 5-2. The one thing I think you could say about this 49ers defense is they cannot tackle. Robert Saleh gets them in good positions. They run around really well. They're well disciplined, but they can't make a tackle. And of running backs who had at least 100 rushes this year, Kenneth Walker leads the league in missed tackles forced per attempt at 0.28, 61 total on the season. That beats out Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, who come in 2nd and 4th in that metric. I think he's going to absolutely go off this week, and an early preview of who my rushing leader on the week will be.
Excellent. Kenny Walker, right. 3rd game. Going through this so quick. Swift this week, Byron. Swift.
George drags us down, right?
It is, yeah.
It's how we check that he listens as well.
Yeah. Sunday. Let's go into Sunday. 2 great games on Sunday as well. First up is the Houston Texans as 3-point underdogs on the road at the New England Patriots. The over-under is 41. Drake and the Giant D. Can the league's best defense slow down MVP candidate May after crushing Hall of Famer Rodgers? Is it going to be May's Day or May Day in mass this Sunday? Yeah, again, we've not really talked about Texans Steelers because we record Monday and obviously the game was Monday night. But offensively, it was a mess, I think is safe to say. Was it 4 fumbles? It was
5 fumbles, wasn't it?
5 fumbles. Sorry, obviously they managed to recover some, but it was just a mess. And they gave the Steelers the opportunities. Obviously, their defense, being the best defense in the league, shut them down. And the fact the Steelers are pretty putrid on offense. But I think against a good team might have built a lead there on them and put them in having to come back late in the game to try and win it. It got messy again. It felt like that offensive line started to play a bit better. And it took a big backward step last week against the Steelers.
Absolutely. And we didn't actually shout him out on the wildcard review, but a player who made a huge impact on the game and on Mike Vrabel, I think he'll be looking forward to seeing that center on Sunday. Milton Williams was, repaying part of that hefty fee he's been given his big salary. He was a game changer last week against the Chargers. And boy, I'd be licking my lips if I'm Milton Williams going up against this offensive line coming up. This is from JP Acosta earlier in the week. Per True Media, Aaron Rodgers had a minus 1.29 EPA per dropback when pressured against Houston on Monday. Second lowest mark of any QB in a wildcard game since 2015. The only performance lower, CJ Stroud against Pittsburgh on Monday. He was really, really off. And I think I'm talking about the offensive line there. The connection between CJ Stroud and the center, who I don't actually have the name in the top of my head, was appalling. And I think the crowd noise maybe got to them, especially the center, because some of them snaps were coming out early. They were coming out high. New England is not going to be quiet on Sunday. New England is going to be ferocious. Them fans are used to playing playoff football. They're used to championship football. They know how to get at other opposing teams, quarterbacks. It really does, we've got it in the headline there, Drake and the Giant D. If Drake May, I think, could score, or Patriots offense, I think, if they can score 16 points, I think they win this game. I think that's what it boils down to. I don't think the Texans offense are going to get going. I don't think Nico Collins is playing. He's still not practicing. It is Sunday rather than Saturday, which gives him a bit of a chance, but
6 days to come out. I just don't think you're going to do it. I really like Monday night, late. It was fourth quarter. He came out as well, which was really making a difference. But late in the game, I don't think there's any way he clears concussion protocol. And if he does, then the NFL will probably be looking into it.
Yeah, ultimately, and a bigger team might get away with it as well, but the Texans wouldn't. Just a couple of notes again on the Texans defense because we didn't review Monday night. This is from Derek Klassen over at the Athletic NFL show. Texans defense finished the game at 0.52 EPA per play, the best mark in a playoff game in a decade. The second best was the Texans last year versus the Chargers as well, and one final one. Only 2 teams in NFL history have scored multiple defensive touchdowns and allowed 0 touchdowns in a playoff game. The Texans on Monday, and I'm not going to try and have you guess it, the Bears in the 1940 NFL Championship game where they beat Washington 73-0. And I think that's kind of defensive performance we're going to have to see on Sunday if it's not going to be the Patriots, because I just don't think the Texans offense is going to get going enough.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I feel like I'd like the hook here either side, like 2.5 or 3.5 would have kind of really made my decision for me. I don't like it. I've gone Patriots ATS. I don't like it at all. But I feel like push situation is in play here. Like I'd love the hook and I'd have just gone either side. Let's bring on our bets. We'll start with Joe. Joe's gone for a defensive special teams touchdown in the game. So the Texans got two on Monday night. So they're prime for it at any point. Obviously the return game's in play. So yeah.
And you also get Marcus Jones, the best returner in football.
There you go. Yeah, covered. And I don't think I've seen a defensive special team odds line that low. It's just less than 3-1, which is mad, isn't it? You usually see it up at 5-6-1, and yeah, just less than 3-1 in this one. So that is Joe's bet. Byron?
Yeah, I've got another one about 3-1. Jaden Higgins, anytime touchdown scorer at 7-2. I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 this game, and we've just seen Christian Kirk go off, to be fair, but I think you can target the Steelers in the slot more easily than you can the Patriots. I think it's going to be Jaden Higgins as a wide receiver 1 with Nico Collins out. So give me Jaden Higgins at 7-2 with that in mind.
Excellent. And I'm just going the under 41. It is low, but I kind of think this could be 16-10, 17-30. I think this could be really, really low. Still a fascinating game. I think this could be a bit of a drag-out fight between these two. And, defense ruling the day. And just a lack of offense from the Texans, I think. But, under 41, I've gone for at 10-11. Right, it's time for our guest, Byron.
Love it.
We've got Ben Isaacs, great guest joining us. Ben, broadcaster, author of the American Football Revolution in the UK, how the UK fell in love with the NFL. Go buy that book. For Amazon links in the episode description. You'll hear Ben talk about it as well. The best promo, the best plug of anything we've ever had on Good Teams with Great Teams cover. We've had some pretty great ones. But you can catch Ben on the Nat Coombs Show, College Days, college podcast as part of the Nat Coombs network of shows, on Talk Sport, BBC Radio 5 Live. He's everywhere. So here's Ben, big Chicago Bears fan, to help preview the Bears hosting the Rams. Previewing our fourth and final game of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, we've got a very, very special guest. Ben Isaacs is joining us, author of The American Football Revolution, How Britain Fell in Love with the NFL. Also, everywhere else, pretty much. You'll hear him on TalkSport, the Nat Coombs Show, Full 10 Yards, everywhere, basically. Ben, welcome to Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Very special guest. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing when you get called very special. It's been busy recently. I've got BBC Radio Sunday morning. Gotta get up early for that one, which is tough when there's games on the Saturday night. So it might just go all the way through, so that when I do kind of like 5 Live breakfast on Sunday, that I'm practically kind of collapsing in a heap.
Nice. Then prep again for Sunday. Like just go to bed
Yeah.
after that, and then do it all again Sunday.
Yeah, and then after what should be a fantastic divisional round with the games on Saturday night, Sunday night, then the college football national championship game is Monday night. So it's a pretty relentless 3 days after what was a pretty relentless 5 days, I think, last week with the college football semi-finals and then 3 nights of wildcard action. What might have been the most entertaining wildcard weekend ever. I always say the divisional round is the best week of the season. You've generally got the better teams left at that point. It's not always the 8 best teams in the NFL are around in the divisional round. Doesn't usually work out as neatly as that, but usually those games are better. You don't have the mismatches that you often see in the wildcard round. But although we did see a couple of mismatches in the end, it was so front loaded with amazing games that it was just, you kind of needed that relief at the end. You needed the Texans to just batter the Steelers just so you could kind of decompress. So I don't know if there's any blowouts this week though. Hopefully not.
Yeah. I think we're in for 4 cracking games and 4 very close ones. And you're right, we were blessed with the first 4 of the 6 wildcard games. We're all classics. They were all incredible games. So I have no doubt we will see the same this week. Ben, you are a big Chicago Bears fan, which is why we've got you on. We haven't had any Chicago Bears representation through 20 guests so far. So it's good that we can talk some Bears. You went through the mill last week against the Green Bay Packers. You talked about maybe decompressing a little bit. How long did it take to kind of come down from Saturday night, that amazing 18-point comeback against the Green Bay Packers?
I'll let you know when I do. I don't know if I'm fully there yet. It was so tough. It was so tough. Kind of that's Sunday. So a little bit of backstory as well, no pun intended. But I'd done something to my back, right? So over a week ago, I'd kind of woken up. It was the Tuesday morning, the Tuesday before the playoff games, and I already had a little bit of a kind of twinge in my back, which is, a bit unusual. And I woke up Tuesday morning and I could barely get out of bed. And I run every morning except Sunday morning. That is the one morning I have as my recovery day. Usually I am out at 6 a.m. in the dark, wearing a torch, running. So I couldn't run. And I'd spent a chunk of that week on codeine. I do have a slightly complicated history with codeine, going back to breaking an arm 15 years ago, whatever it was, that I ended up being prescribed so much codeine. I can't tell you how much codeine. I don't know what the street value of it would have been, but so much codeine. And codeine's addictive. Your body gets used to it very quickly. And I kind of got addicted to codeine. This makes it sound like it's like I'm some sort of junkie or this is stories going somewhere else. But it was simply, I thought, when I'm not having the codeine, I just feel sick. So I just stopped taking the codeine, which apparently is dangerous, but whatever. Dr. Isaac sorted it. So I was back on the codeine last week, just small doses. But also I was having some beers when I was watching the games. And generally, as a little warning to all your listeners, don't try to avoid mixing opiates and alcohol. Now, I didn't overdo it on any of them, but it probably didn't help me kind of really get over everything that had happened on the weekend, but especially that one. And the ending to that game, let's say the last 30 to 40 minutes of game time, real time, not game time. I've watched that about 4 or 5 times since then, because you know how it is. You look at it in a different way in the cold light of day. I've watched the Prime broadcast. I've watched it while listening to the Bears radio broadcast and the Packers radio broadcast. There are certain things that they'll notice that the others don't. And each time I'm watching it, I'm still not convinced that the comeback is going to happen. It doesn't matter how many times I see it. It seems so improbable. And I'll be honest, I have seen more improbable comebacks. And I was at Soldier Field in 2001 where they were getting absolutely blown out. It was my first ever visit to Soldier Field. They were getting blown out and they had this ridiculous comeback to take the game to overtime, and then they lost the toss, and the 49ers had the ball first, and it was a pick six straight away. And I was in that end zone, and it was like a religious experience for me. That was a crazier comeback, but obviously the stakes were not as high. That was a regular season game against the 49ers. It wasn't against the Packers. It wasn't as cathartic as this one. And I was at the regular season game last season at Soldier Field, where the Bears were all set to win, and they had the field goal blocked. And I just stood there, and I thought that was going to be my really cathartic moment. And I thought, I am going to cry when this field goal goes over. I'm going to cry. And then it didn't go over, and I was just numb. And there were these two Japanese tourists sat directly in front of me who were Packers fans, and they were beside themselves. And I thought, why did I not get that experience? I wanted that experience of being sat here watching this. So if you're listening, those two people in Japan, screw you. I hope that game has ruined your 2026 already. I wish you nothing but the worst. But I'm still not fully over it. It was just so much fun. It was so stupid. The Caleb Williams 4th down completion just will live in history forever. And I'm just glad I got to witness it, and just keep witnessing it.
And spent all week witnessing it by the sounds of it. But I think it feels like very much a rivalry shifting win. I think that because the Packers have just dominated the Bears for the better part of 20 years now. And I think what did we see at the start? There's that, since Caleb Williams has started playing for the Bears, 50% of the Chicago Bears wins over the Green Bay Packers. Caleb has as quarterback over the last 15 years. And just things like that, where this rivalry has been, not really a rivalry on the field, but it feels like a complete shift. That one game, and the two regular season games, obviously close, went down to the wire and they split, but this one just feels so much different. And this is ultimately down to Caleb. It's also down to Ben Johnson. Big factor. Could you have dreamt that this team would turn around so quickly, Ben, from how it ended under Matt Eberflus, and then just awful 2/3 of last season to how it's been under Ben Johnson?
I mean, when the Bears were 0-2, I'd say, this is a badly coached team. They are not prepared. And I think if we sat down with Ben Johnson here, he would agree with that statement. And it wouldn't have been for a lack of effort, but they were not well coached in those first two games. And I went into the season thinking, I think the Bears can hover around 500 for much of this year. And there's a possibility they could get to 9 wins. And as it is, everyone in the NFC North got to 9 wins. If you told me everyone in the division will have a winning record, I would think, okay, great. The Bears have finished 4th, but they've made a leap, and that they can take another leap next season. I would have settled for 9-7 and finishing bottom. Absolutely. Because of the way that it was such a mess last season. I'm lucky that the best performance they had last season was in London. So I was there for that. And I really thought then the Packers game at the end of the season that I was at, I thought, okay, I'm going to see another. To be fair, the Bears should have won that game. They were the better team. Caleb Williams completely outplayed Jordan Love in that game. And it was a bad kick. And be fair, bad coaching from Matt Eberflus. The Bears could have got closer, and he just decided, no, we'll just go for it here. It was a nightmare all round. I could never have expected this. And Ben Johnson obviously deserves more credit than anyone. He's shifted their mentality. The play calling can be a little erratic at times, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth when it's a coach like that. You can't be, he's taken a risk and it didn't come off. But also the sort of play calls, the massive risks he takes that do come off. Yeah. He's got faith in his players. So they went for it on 4th down too many times in potentially bad situations against the Packers, but that is part of how he coaches. You take that away, you take away the good things as well. Like Ben Johnson, in many other years, he would be by far the front runner coach of the year. It happens to be that Mike Vrabel has done a more impressive job, arguably. I mean, it was an easier schedule, but, come on. What Kyle Shanahan has done with barely any healthy players. So anyone who says that those two are more viable candidates for coach of the year, that is absolutely fine. I would agree with them. But most other years, Ben Johnson, the job that he's done would do it. He's turned this back into a rivalry again. It's been a long time. For it to be a rivalry, you need to have a quarterback. And when the Bears haven't had a quarterback, they have not been able to be competitive. And they have not been competitive against the Packers since Lovie Smith was fired, which was the right decision at the time. But we've just had a parade of coaches who were not up to the task. This Bears team, they may lose against the Rams on the weekend, and they may not win as many games next season. They'll have a tougher schedule next season, but they did go into this season with the second most difficult based on strength of schedule. When the NFL put it out at the start of the season, Giants at 1, Bears at 2, Lions at 3. So it was a tough schedule coming in. Didn't quite work out as much as that because other teams had kind of fallen back a bit.
Tough, yeah.
So they could take a step back next season, but the point is the Bears are still back. It doesn't mean they're going to win the division every year. It doesn't mean they'll be in the divisional round every year, but it means that they should be able to be competitive, that they're mentally in the right place. This is a team that has had their injuries. Just the defense has been decimated by injuries, and it's just that the Bears defense isn't very good anyway. So it's like you're losing these starters, but the backups are perhaps not as far behind the starters because the starters aren't as good. So the drop off isn't massive. But there was a game they won earlier in the season where I think 7 of the 8 starters were out, and it was just a load of backups. And Dennis Allen does a pretty good job with the lack of talent he's got there. I shouldn't start thinking about the draft or free agency yet.
Oh, yeah. So we're not done yet, then.
No, but there are holes to plug. Even if somehow the Bears win the Super Bowl, there are so many holes on that defense to plug. And I'm looking forward to seeing a better defense next year. They don't need to do much with the offense. I like what I've seen there. I mean, they've got maybe the best bunch of pass catchers. If you think of their top 3 or even top 4 wide receivers, plus the 2 tight ends, I think I'd put that group up against any sized group around the NFL. So I'm happy enough with that. But defense needs some dudes on it.
And this is interesting because the way the defenses, I would say, struggle because the defense has lived off turnovers all season, all throughout the regular season. The defense has survived and created these huge plays and been very opportunistic. With the most takeaways in the NFL this season. However, last week they didn't have the turnover luck last week. The ball didn't bounce their way, and yet they still found a way to win. How does that give you confidence that the Bears don't maybe need to live? Because the 2 performances, first half, second half of the defense, were completely different. In the second half, it was a much, much improved performance, again, without having those huge takeaway plays. Does that give you a bit of confidence heading the rest of the way that actually we can kind of pull?
Yeah, it really does. And I like all the way through the season, when the Bears started pulling out these come from behind wins, and I think, what are we on? Like 7 of them now?
7, yeah.
Every time we're told the same thing. Well, this isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. You can't do this all season. This isn't sustainable. And they're in the playoffs. Okay, this still isn't sustainable. Now, the Bears showed against the Packers that it isn't simply about, oh, we're going to get these takeaways. The Bears really had no luck against the Packers. Now, I don't think that they have been winning all these comebacks due to luck, unless you want to decide, oh, when a quarterback throws an interception, that's just bad luck. I don't think it's bad luck. I think that's poor play from the quarterback or good play from the defense. Pick one. If you're going to say, oh, the Bears are only winning because the other team was playing badly, well, generally, when a team loses, you're able to point at things and say, well, look, they played badly. They made these mistakes in this area. They have ridden their luck a little bit, and I'm not trying to make the comparison, but say Joe Montana, John Elway, certain players who kind of built a reputation on comeback victories, that if the team was behind, they had this never say die attitude, they were leaders and they would just seem to make the biggest plays in the toughest moments. Now, these 2 players obviously became Hall of Famers, and I'm not saying that's Caleb Williams' trajectory. But if you have a player who seems to do those things, maybe it's not just luck. Maybe it's not just the ball bouncing the right way all the time. Now, I'd said about that game I went to in 2001 at Soldier Field. The Bears were lucky in that game. And the Bears finished that season 13-3. The only two teams that beat them in the regular season, they got swept by the Packers, who were not very good that year, but they got swept by the Packers. And they lost in week 1 to the Ravens, who were the Super Bowl champions at the time. So the Bears started 0-1. And then the only team that beat them in the regular season then was the Packers. The Bears, my God, they were lucky in that season. They had so many lucky wins, generally not playing well, and something freaky would happen. This doesn't look like that team. I've seen them both up close, and this does not look like that team. This is not a team that is simply, oh, they're always getting lucky. The 0-1 Bears, yes, they were getting lucky, and then they were in the playoffs, and they just did not look like they belonged. That is not this Bears team. The Bears are able to produce moments of magic in the same way that Patrick Mahomes can produce moments of magic. And it's not just like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes must be lucky all the time. No, maybe Patrick Mahomes is just very good at those sorts of things. And that is what Caleb Williams can do. Things like the offensive line, which was an absolute disaster the start of the season. And Ben Johnson was like, I've got to get the run game going. I've got to figure things out with the run game. And then they had the bye week, and all of a sudden, the rushing offense looked completely different. I don't think that's luck. I don't think it's luck that it's bad, and then the coach has an extra week to figures it out, and it's good again. So I don't know if I feel confident about the Rams game, but at least I know that they've had a game against a good team where everything went wrong for them, and they still managed a historic comeback. They had the stones to do it. They had the ability to do it. I think the Packers made things easier by they got cowardly when it came to play calling. The offense then just wasn't clicking. The offense looked like they just wanted the game to be over, and they just couldn't get it done. It can be a tough place to kick, Soldier Field, in the winter, which we saw from Green Bay. But the Bears in Cairo Santos do not have the best kicker in the world, but he kind of knows how to kick in Soldier Field now. So again, I can't look at those missed kicks and think, oh, well, it's just luck. No, if your team's kicker isn't good enough, that isn't necessarily luck. In the same way, the game the Bears lost at Soldier Field last season that I was at, you could say, oh, well, look, that low kick that was blocked, that was really unlucky. It wasn't really unlucky. It was a kicker who isn't quite good enough, and it was a coach who got scared and didn't move closer. It was bad coaching and bad play. It wasn't luck that caused that, and it wasn't luck that caused the Bears to beat the Packers. It was bad coaching and bad play.
I think on that flip side, let's get into the game in more detail for this week, because real looking forward to the game. It's the one that finishes off Divisional Round weekend. Rams as 3.5-point favourites as it stands at the Bears, 48.5 over under. But can the Bears summon monsters of 85 to slow down Stafford? It's the first playoff meeting since the 85 season where the Bears shut out the Rams 24-0. Will this defense step up, or will it take another heroic Caleb Williams performance? You mentioned there just that piece on the special teams. That's an area where the Rams have struggled all season long. Fired a special teams coordinator a few weeks ago. Didn't really get any better last week. It's going to be freezing cold in Chicago. I think it's pegged to be -8, and then wind as well, which will make it even colder. I saw a great stat off the back of the Packers game that the general NFL rate for making the 40 to 45-yard field goals is around 80%. Opposition kickers at Soldier Field in the last so many years, it's 55% conversion, which is very interesting. It's a big difference for those. We almost take that distance as like automatic kicks. How is this kind of real Chicago weather going to play into the Rams coming from LA, sunshine of LA to Chicago on a very windy, cold Sunday night in January?
Yeah, the Bears really, and I don't remember when they were last like this, but the Bears really revel in what we will call bear weather. Like this is what the Bears and Bears fans have called it since, well, probably since even before the 85 season. But during that game against the Rams, the 24-0 shutout, it was very cold. It was snowing. And the Bears players were on the field talking about, this is bear weather. This is bear weather. This is it for us. So going back to when the Bears beat the Browns, which is one of the only times this season where the Bears have just kind of blown a team out. Obviously, the Browns are a bad team, and they kind of gave up on that game pretty early. They just quit. But part of it was at the start of the game, the Browns were clearly too cold. Now, it was a very cold game, but Cleveland is not a hot place. I have been to Cleveland, and I would not describe, there's a lot of things I would say about Cleveland. I'm not going to say it right now, but I would certainly not call it a warm place, right? But when they did warm-ups, the Bears players afterwards pointing out they just did the minimum warm-ups, and they just then ran inside, that they looked frigid. They were all kind of having as covered up as much as possible. And you've got the Bears linemen, bare arms, which, you know, is a point of pride. You know, I get it. And my wife watching the game, she's like, why aren't they more covered up? I'm like, it's psychological. It's psychological. I look at the line of scrimmage, and I feel like, well, I know who's winning this game. Now, it helps that it was the Browns, and they're a bad team. And if the Rams are all wrapped up, I'm not going to think the same. But it does give you that little psychological edge. Obviously, the Rams are not used to playing in this sort of weather on a regular basis. The Bears are. Matt Stafford, however, has played plenty of times in Chicago late in the season. Never in the playoffs, but late in the season. He has experienced that cold. It makes everything more difficult. The ball is harder. Everything under your foot is harder. It is a different sort of game, and I feel it could affect the points total. But my biggest hope is it will affect Matt Stafford. That especially if he's still got a kind of niggling injury on his throwing hand, can you imagine if he gets hit in that hand early in the game, even if it's hit off someone's helmet in that cold? Oh my God. Like, the thought of it turns my stomach. The thought of it has me reaching for the codeine already. So the thing is obviously we know what this Rams offense is like. And we know what this Bears defense is like, especially the secondary, which at the start of the season, I'd have said, oh, that is a strength of the Bears. I didn't think they would have at one point like 4 starters injured from the secondary. So I do think that the Rams have got the opportunity to have a hot start, and they will be much more of a threat than the Packers were when it comes to just kind of maintaining that momentum, because obviously the receivers they've got are absolutely elite, perhaps the best wide receiver pairing in the league. Matt Stafford has seen everything, and Sean McVay is as good a coach there is in the NFL. I don't think he will make the mistakes that Matt LaFleur did. I don't think he will kind of coach scared like LaFleur has a habit of doing. I think obviously Stafford's much more experienced than Jordan Love. He's also a lot better than Jordan Love. But that experience, that mental toughness, the cold might get to those players, but I think those key Rams players are just so mentally tough that it does scare me. I think it's difficult for me to see a Bears victory in this one, even the Bears covering, if I'm honest. I feel like this is the sort of game where I think they could lose by 7, that they're trying to keep it close, that it isn't necessarily a kind of like a frantic comeback at the end, that they're just trying to kind of claw their way into it. If the Bears get a hot start, then that really changes things. They cannot have the first half they did against Green Bay. There'll be no way back against the Rams there. But if it's tight at halftime, or if the Bears have the lead, then it's going to get very, very interesting. Very interesting. Ben Johnson will have some tricks up his sleeve. There's already the kind of little spice that Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur are like best friends. And like, what does that mean? I'll tell you what, it means absolutely nothing. Like the idea that Sean McVay's like, I wasn't really that bothered about this divisional playoff. I'm not really that big on coaching and the idea of winning another Super Bowl ring, but I think this team slighted my friend. So now I'm really motivated. Now I'm gonna spend a lot of time going over game tape I'm going to really get an offensive game plan together that can win the game. Give me a break. People saying like, oh, he's going to be so motivated. Give me a break. If he's not motivated already, there's something wrong with him. And to be fair, with Sean McVay, there is something wrong with him in the absolute best way. He is like a twisted genius. I love the guy, but he doesn't need any more motivation than he already has.
We've seen the Rams kind of maybe play around with teams a little bit recently, you know, probably kind of the last third of the season, kind of got into a bit of a rut and not necessarily playing the football they had done earlier in the year. Can happen again in the wildcard game last week against the Panthers, where they got out to that 14-point lead. I'm sure everybody watching the game was going, this isn't going to be a contest. They're going to, you know, they're going to beat them by 40.
I said it at 7-0. At 7-0, I said game over.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But they left the door open and the Panthers gave them hell. They gave them everything. Even though the Panthers were shooting themselves in the foot all the way through the game, they still stuck around and gave them hell. I suppose the key, and there's probably a couple of key areas, but is there a way? How do you slow down this offense? Because this is an offense that's nearly put up 400 yards a game, scoring 30 points a game throughout the regular season. How do the Bears go about slowing it down again? You mentioned the secondary's been quite porous. There's a lot of injuries on that defense. How do the Bears go about slowing down Stafford and Nakua and Devontae Adams?
I think it's about getting pressure up front without having to commit to the blitz. If they can, with their front four, just keep Stafford off balance, you know, hurry him as much as possible, then they'll have a chance. Because if he does get the chance to just sit back there and pick his targets, the secondary is not going to be able to cope. I can see a situation where Stafford throws 2 picks, but also at the same time throws for 450 yards or something. Yeah. So it's going to start as one of the biggest cliches in football. It's going to start up front. But it absolutely is. That Bears defensive line, which is no great shakes, really. You know, Montez Sweat finished the game strongly, but wasn't great in the first half, like everyone on the defense. They have just got to be getting after Stafford as much as possible. If they can't get through that Rams offensive line on a regular basis, Stafford is just going to sit back there in a clean pocket, and it's going to be completion after completion after completion after completion. And they are just going to roll down the field like that and keep putting points up. I certainly don't agree with what Alex Smith had said about he thinks the Rams can put up or will put up 50 points against the Bears. I feel it's a little bit disrespectful. I would agree that, you know, the Panthers secondary, for example, is better than the Bears secondary. But I think the Bears offense should be able to stay on the field and do more than the Panthers offense, which limits your opportunities to get to 50 points. I mean, if this is the bar that I'm setting for the Bears, I hope they don't give up 50 points. Then it's a pretty sad state of affairs when you're in a playoff game and you're thinking this isn't a team that somehow snuck into the playoffs. This is the team that is the number 2 seed. I don't think they're better than the Rams. They're a higher seed than the Rams because the Rams are in the best division in the NFL. It's very easy to make the argument that the 3 best teams in the NFC this season were all in the NFC West. And I would agree with that statement. I think the Bears are the weakest of the 4 NFC teams left. But I also think they could beat any of these teams. I also think they could beat any of these teams even if they're 14 points down with 7 minutes to go, because they're just used to it. They don't panic. So the whole thing with the Panthers will definitely give the Bears hope. There will be things that they see in that game tape that they can exploit. But Sean McVay will know those things to clean up as well. They've got to force Stafford into mistakes. They've got to hit Stafford. They've got to really rush him as much as possible. But I think if they blitz, he's going to make hay, and it'll be that 450-yard performance.
Probably on the flip side for the Bears from an offensive perspective, the Rams' probably weakest area of their team is their secondary as well. You know, they've had injuries there. You know, they've got a reclamation project in Emmanuel Forbes playing, and that feels like their weakest area. But the defensive line is a bunch of monsters, I think is the best way to describe it. They've got beasts on that defensive line, and the Bears' O-line banged up, lost Ozzie Trapilo last week to a bad knee injury. How confident are you that the Bears are going to be able to kind of that mishmash now offensive line hold up and give Caleb the opportunity to find a Dunze, to find the other weapons? Loveland last week was also incredible. So, yeah, how confident are you that they can kind of hold up to give Caleb a chance?
I'd feel more confident if Ozzie Trapilo who's not the best player in the world, but he has really become a consistent presence. I'd feel a lot more comfortable if he was still there. Having to have that banged up offensive line against, the likes of Jared Verse, I don't like that at all. The good thing is that Caleb Williams will move around and can escape pressure. But obviously he does throw a lot of incompletions. He throws a lot of balls away. He doesn't want to take the sacks. He doesn't want to throw an interception. He'll throw the ball away, which is good, but it does often lead to, 3 and outs and that, that poor completion percentage he's had. It's a massive thing. If the likes of Joe Tooney can keep players away from Caleb Williams, just give him that extra second or half second that he needs for Loveland, Adunze, Moore, Komet, Burden, any of them to kind of get open, then they can make those chunk plays, or they can just make those third down conversions, make those 7-yard completions that you need to just keep moving the ball down the field. But if that Rams defense does what it can do and spend a lot of time in the Bears backfield, then you've got a real problem, because it also means the Bears probably aren't able to run the ball well. And the Bears didn't run the ball well, really, against the Packers. And by the time that the offense really started clicking, they were having to go to the air quite a lot. They were using DeAndre Swift, as a receiver a lot of the time. DeAndre Swift's a player who has been fantastic this season. It's kind of running back by committee, but he still had 1,000 yards on the ground. I'm not sure how many through the air, but a lot. He's had a lot of kind of yak. I've kind of fallen in love with him this season because I was not a fan at all last year. I thought he was an absolute waste of space and a waste of money. And I did not think that Ben Johnson could fix him. But the job he's done with him and Kyle Monangai has been brilliant. So as much as I'm worried about the kind of the pass rush, I'm also worried about kind of how them stopping the Bears rushing attack. Because if you can't just be getting these, okay, right, we need 4 yards and Monungai's going to get 5, or there's times where, Swift is going to break one. You take those plays out, and then you can just drop a lot more guys back into coverage. And even if Caleb does have time, you should be able to, smother those receivers. So once again, I think the 2 defensive lines basically are the key to this game.
Feels like that's probably the best, the best defense too. Matthew Stafford is that that time of possession, that ability to run the ball and, limit, instead of 12 possessions, he only gets 8 or what have you. That's kind of probably the way to go about it. Very excited, very looking forward to this one. It should finish off an amazing divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Ben, thank you ever so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully you've had a good enough time that we'll see you back. But give us a reminder where we can find you. Across all the different platforms.
Yeah, a bit of everything. So on the Nat Coombs show, at least once a week, on Edge Rush, sometimes the Monday show with Mike. College Days, that's Days, D-A-Z-E. That's our NC show, spin-off college football show. It's got its own feed. Most of the episodes come on the Nat Coombs show feed, but generally later. So if you want to get on those, get on the College Days feed as well. You'll often find me popping up on Talk Sports on a Sunday night. I said I'll be on BBC 5 Live Breakfast at 7:50 a.m. on Sunday. If any of you are up at that point, you'll catch my thoughts on the Saturday games and looking ahead to the Sunday games. I'm working on a major project that I cannot talk about right now, but maybe by September I'll be able to tell you more about that. And of course, the book, The American Football Revolution, How Britain Fell in Love with the NFL, the Amazon bestseller. I'm really proud of it. I'm really pleased with the reception that it's got from fans. I wanted something that all fans in the UK would want to have on their bookshelf. That this is us. This represents us. This is our story. And I had always thought about writing that book, and I didn't quite know how to do it, how I should approach it. And I woke up one morning and it had basically come to me in a dream how it should be. And I wrote the plan that morning, and I thought I'll send it to a publisher, and at least I'll get some feedback And then within a few hours, they just sent me a contract. So that moved very quickly at that point. But the pressure was felt that I could not let down NFL UK fans, because this is our story. And my biggest fear was I didn't want some chump writing this book. I didn't want some chump writing our story. Someone who doesn't really know or connect with the fans or doesn't really understand all of that stuff. I would have been apoplectic. So it was like, okay, well, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And everyone seems to like it. So I would say if you have not read it, you should read it. You should read it, but buy multiple copies, I would say. That way you can have one on your bookshelf, one in the bag you take to work, one in the loo. You know, you can just pick it up anytime there. Valentine's Day is coming up. Buy it for your significant other for Valentine's Day. Got Mother's Day coming up in March. Mums love the book. There are so many occasions to give it. It's the perfect gift for a sister, a brother, a mother, a husband. This is what they used to say on QVC. They'd be like, oh, this is the perfect gift for a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, a daughter, a son, an acquaintance, that person in work that you met once.
Hand them out on the street. Yeah, hand them out on the street. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the book. I love the reaction it's got, and I am honored that the community took to it like they did and that they trusted me to do a good job. So anyone who's read it, thank you, especially if you've left a review on Amazon, because that's huge. That means that if you put those reviews on Amazon, it's more likely to kind of pop up when someone else is looking at other American football books, and it'll be recommended to them. And it just helps all of us. I hope that by me writing this book, it means that other people in the UK are able to get their books published by proper publishers that will put something out there about American football by people from the UK. It does now happen. I wasn't the first to do it, and thankfully others have come after me, and hopefully there will be more. I'd like the floodgates to open.
Excellent. So go buy multiple copies of Ben's book now, The American Football Revolution, How Britain Fell in Love with the NFL. It's in the episode links for if you're watching on YouTube, listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Overcast. I think that's everywhere we go. The link's in there now, so go get it. Go get it through the Amazon shop now. And you'll get it pretty quickly, I imagine. So, and you can get cracking on reading it before the playoffs have even finished. And Ben, we've had many people promo plug things on our show, but that was the best plug-in of anything we've ever had. So good work.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to talk at length about that book. Don't worry.
It's the right way to go about it. Absolutely. Go support Ben and go buy it now, because like I say, it's fantastic piece of work, and you should be very proud of it, Ben. So well done, great work, and we will see more, no doubt, from you in the future. So go catch Ben at Tweets from Ben, follow Nat Coombs Show, College Days, listen to Talk Sport, listen to BBC 5 Live, support Ben, and thanks for coming on, Ben. We really appreciate it. And who knows, we might have you back on for the Super Bowl preview should the Chicago Bears get through.
Oh my God, don't even. But yeah, if they are in the Super Bowl, I'll probably be DMing you saying like, when am I coming on? When am I coming on? When am I coming on?
Do not worry, we will be there first. As soon as the final whistle goes and the zeros come up on the NFC Championship game, we will be in touch with whoever is representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, and maybe why the hell not the Chicago Bears?
Why not?
Excellent. We're going to finish up this episode with our ATS picks, our best bets for the Bears game, and our twofold challenge now, because we've only got a couple of games. So we're going to finish up the rest of the episode. Thanks to Ben there. Make sure you go follow him at Tweets from Ben, and catch Ben on all the places he just told you about. Great guest. Lovely to chat about the Chicago Bears with Ben. Let's get to our bets, because that's what's left for us to talk about. But Baron, I talked about the game with Ben. You've not really had your say. Bears Rams. How are you feeling about the Bears matching up? It's a cold night in Chicago. It's going to be on Sunday. Yeah, how are you feeling the Bears match up against the Rams?
I think it's a really good matchup for the Bears, actually. I think the Rams defense, I think, is better on paper than turf this year. And if Caleb Williams can scramble and make some plays out, I think the Bears win this game outright, never mind against the spread. I have them obviously to cover on ATS if I'm that confident they win the game. But yeah, I think the Rams are going to really struggle defensively to slow the Bears down. And it sounds kind of sacrilegious with what a season he's had. I think it's really important that the Rams get in 13 personnel and keep Devontae Adams off the field, especially in a game where it's going to be freezing cold. You're going to get him battered around. Add up Puka Nacua and the free tight ends out there as much as possible and try and attack that middle of the field where the Bears are obviously down a linebacker. Yes. And I'm not sure that Sean McVay's going to do it. I think he'll still trot Devontae Adams out, who looked more than a step off it against the Panthers despite putting up big yards, but his catch totals were low relative to his targets. And I think that's where it could be won and lost. Big Colby Parkinson game, big Tyler Higbee game, maybe even Davis Allen game comes in. If the Rams are to win it, I think if they stick to 2 wide receivers and keep Devontae Adams out there all game, I think the Bears push away pretty comfortably here. I think there's going to be points. I think in this one, that's the one I'm most confident of the 4 games this week. But yeah, I'm hoping for a Bears win, but I also really think it's happening.
Excellent. Well, speaking of points, that's my bet. The total started at 51 this week. I think it was 51.5. It's down all the way down to 48.5.
Yeah.
I think it might have even bounced back up to 49, but I got it at 48.5, so I'm taking that as my bet. I think, again, even in spite of the conditions, I still think these two teams are good enough on offense to move the ball up and down the field. I think I think Nakua's in for a big game. I think the Bears over the middle is where you hit them. That's the weakest spot. Yeah. Cannot cover the middle of the field. So I'm expecting Puka Nacua to have a field day. And yeah, just love that. And then I think actually the Rams have been shaky. They've given up 30 points to the Panthers twice in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is. Which is madness because, as great as the Panthers were last week, they're not a particularly great football team or great offense. So, yeah.
I mean, their last 5 weeks, you got 31 to the Panthers, 20 to the Cardinals, 24 to the Falcons. 27 to the Falcons, 38 to the Seahawks, 34 to the Lions. Like, they're not stopping people on defense, period.
Yeah, the defense has fallen off after being so dominant earlier in the season. So, yeah, I like Chicago to do it. I think Chicago might try and slow the game down a little bit just to kind of limit the possessions that Stafford and the Rams has. If they can get that running game going, which is tough to do against the Rams, I think they might just try and, again, I mentioned it with Ben, just try and cut, if you get 12 possessions a game, try and limit them to 10 or 8 possessions. So, yeah, I probably less than that, I guess, in the NFL. But yeah, I think that might be the way Chicago try and bleed some time out of the game. So we shall see, though. But I like over 48.5. I think this could be a bit of a basketball game and should be a fun one, despite the cold and the wind and in Chicago. Potential for missed kicks as well, which we talked about with Ben. So yeah, over 48.5 from me. Joe's bet. Gone for Colston Loveland, 2+ touchdowns at 12-1.
A tight end, 12-1, 2+ touchdowns. Yeah, just pencil that in. We could get Charlie to do Joe's picks at this point. Just which tight end will it be, Charlie? But Colston Loveland, what a week he had last week and what a player he is. So 12-1 sounds like a real nice price, actually.
Yeah, I think he had 10 catches for 130 odd yards, didn't he, last week? So it's become very, very reliable for Caleb Williams. He's really come on, I suppose, since he got fit and he had injuries in the early part of the season, but the second half of the season, he's been fantastic. So, yeah, certainly living up to that top 10 pick that he was. And then Byron.
And also just on Colston Loveland, I just want to chuck in vindication for people who had him as tight end 1 in this class, because Tyler Warren had his hot start and people couldn't crown him quick enough. And I remember being on the show saying, let's wait until Colston Loveland actually is fit and playing before we crown him. So I just want to have my little moment there because Colston Loveland just needed to get fit, and he is a tight end 1 in this class. And the quarterback 1 from last year, maybe. Caleb Williams, let's get anytime touchdown, 7-2. I think he's going to be scrambling a lot in this game. I think he's going to take advantage of that Rams' aggressiveness up front and not really getting to the quarterback. And I think Caleb's going to have a moment in this game where we see him running to the end zone and, arms come out and it's kind of his moment because he's had a lot of them this season. And I think we're going to get another one on Sunday. So 7-2, Caleb Williams, anytime touchdown scorer.
Excellent. That wraps up our bets for the main portion of the show. We've got we're slimming down to a twofold challenge this week. And I can't even remember what we did Conference Championship week, but we did fourfold last week. Joe so close to hitting it. He had the over on Texans, Steelers.
Yeah.
I think it was 39.5 and it hit the under. So Joe went 3-1, just missed out on a playoff 4-4, which I think would have been an incredible achievement. Hard enough to take during the regular season when you've got kind of, 13 to 16 games to choose from. Yeah, never mind kind of when there's just 6 games on the slate. So well done, Joe. Good start. I brought my regular season form into the playoffs and went 1-3. And Byron, you were sat right in the middle at 2-2. Byron, you have the honour this week, and to the slight change the rules is we need to pick one side, so either a favourite or an underdog, and one total, so an over or an under. Those are the rules of the game. Byron, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'm taking one of your bets. Under 41 Texans Patriots, please.
Under 41.
Yeah, it's his Texans defense. It's too good, and their offense is too bad. So. Yeah, I mean, you're saying there 16-10 maybe. I totally agree. I think that was my line with Drake May. If the Patriots get 16 points, I think they win the game. If they get under 16 points, and I don't think the Texans will need to get 20 to win. So, yeah, I struggle to see this one going to 41, barring CJ Stroud becoming rookie CJ Stroud again, but I don't think that's happening.
Cool. Right. I am trying to do what Joe Nelma does in the background. I think I'm doing a good job, so... if I don't know if it's come on this. Oh, that's beautiful. Excellent. Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to take an underdog. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Bills. Yeah, I'm riding them to win it all. So why the hell not? Why not go into Denver, upset them? Upset them. They're only 1.5 point underdogs, I guess. But they're the number 1 seed. They're 14-3. Obviously the Bills, bit of an indifferent regular season for them from what we've used to seeing them, but I put it in the wrong thing. I was doing so well, Byron. I put it in the favorite thing. I was doing so well, but yeah, I just think this is the time, this is the year. If not now, when? I guess.
Exactly. There's no Lamar. There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's Bo Nix in his way. So, yeah, I can certainly see that one. Joe has gone with the Texans as an underdog. So Texans +3 heading into New England. So he's going with the Big D rather than Drake. Yeah, obviously we've talked about the game. Can't expand on it too much. Maybe he thinks Nico Collins will be back. Maybe he's not scared of Drake May. Maybe he thinks the Big D is really, the 85 Bears who famously didn't have much of an offense. Steve, why have I forgot the quarterback's name? Steve the Bears quarterback. Anyway, he won't thank me for that because he's a
Steve Michael wasn't the quarterback, was it?
No, it's Steve. What was his name? 85 Bears QB.
You can look it up.
I thought I did. I'm sure his name's Steve something though. At least I've got that right.
It could be Steve. Well, Steve McMichael was one of the defenders who also was a wrestler, right?
Yeah, it's obviously Jim McMahon.
Oh, Jim McMahon. There you
Don't know where Steve has come from, but yeah, CJ Stroud can be Jim McMahon, I guess, and without the cigar smoking and wearing wild outfits. But he does have a podcast, so maybe that's how a wild guy is in 2026. And for his over, he has gone. He's another one who's taken one of your bets here. Rams Bears over 48.5.
That's what I wanted. Cool. Yeah, so probably for the same reasons that I just discussed, I think, probably. Should we go? Yeah. How are the vibes, Byron? I know, again, you're a little bit out of Chicago, but you're the closest to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. People are excited. My work has a competition this week, sending pictures of you wearing your Bears gear while you're working, get, entered for some competition, win a gift card or whatever it is. I'm not sure. People sending pictures of their dogs in the Bears gear. People super excited. I did get a bit of a chuckle. I hope my colleague doesn't listen to this, but she posted on her Instagram after the game, before, during, and after the game, and her husband were dancing, celebrating after the game. And it said, before, during, and after, prayer works. And I wanted to reply just saying, did you not think of praying for them to win beforehand? What have you been waiting for? But yeah, religious folk don't like when you ask those kind of questions. So
fair.
I don't think she listens, so I think I'm fine.
When you went, I hope they don't listen. I was like, Byron, we need as many people as possible to listen to this show. Don't be turning people off it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, maybe I'll put. Actually, one of my colleagues did reach out and say, "I hope you're covering the Bears game on your pod this week." So Again, I don't think they listen because we cover every game. So
every game, yeah. I'm going to take Seahawks Niners under. I think it's 45, isn't it? We just talked about it. So
it is.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. For the reasons discussed and why I'm bet. I hate when I've got all my actual bets in on when we do this because I'd like to have, bit of separation, but we can't do that when there's only 4 games, I guess. So, yeah, I'm going to go under in Niners Seahawks. I think Seahawks Niners might struggle for points, but I think also the defense might hold out again. Bend and don't break. Robert Saleh's doing an incredible. We talk about Shanahan doing an incredible job, and he is. Robert Saleh's been amazing again.
I'm expecting to be called up as an edge rusher next week if they make it through, because no doubt they'll lose another 3 players. So.
Just like how he's dealt with, it was already a really, really young defense, and then they lost kind of the experience. The only, the limited experience they had in, not that their experience is limited, just the number of players. Joey Bosa, Frank Warner, Fred Warner. I just called him Frank. Warner.
Also, it's not Joey Bosa; it's his brother. But
Nick Bosa.
It's a bit late in the UK. Let's give Paul a break.
2 for 2 there.
Joey Bosa and Frank Warner.
Joey Bosa.
When you get your linebackers off Timu. No offense to Joey Bosa, who is still in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was still in the playoffs, definitely. It is late. It's been a long day. You've not heard me say that for a while. Byron, finish off the 2-fold draft for us.
Yeah, you can keep those 2 team graphics if you need to copy and paste them again. I'm going Seahawks as favourite, minus 7.5. Hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Robert Saleh can do as great a patchwork job as he wants. This one ain't going to be close. That's a John Byrne guarantee.
That's a John Byrne guarantee.
The things I'll say to buy time for you to get the graphic up.
We've not had a John Byrne guarantee for a while.
No, but we've got one this week. Seahawks.
What was the last one? Maybe maybe last one was the Eagles were going to blow out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I guess
that one paid off handsomely. So.
It delivered, yeah. Excellent. So, that's our 2-fold draft. So, significantly less odds than the 12-1. You only get 4-fold. I think it's probably about 3-1, isn't it? The 2 legs. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm just trying to quickly punch one in to make sure, but it's 10-11 twice, isn't it? So, it's going to be. What's mine? 2.5-1. Basically, is what you get on it. So significantly smaller odds, but maybe take all 3 this week, and who knows? We haven't gone against each other in anything, have we? Like we hammered against each other last week, which is weird. It's only 4 games, so
very weird.
All 3 are possible to be hit. So we'll see if we can hit a double.
Get 6-fold.
Guess it. Whack it in as a 6-fold. There you go. That'll certainly be more than the 12-1.
Yeah.
You get
56, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. More than 50-1, so maybe 48-1.
Pop it in, see how much you win.
So pop it in, see how much you win. Anyway,
that does not come with a John Byrne guarantee.
And that does not, please gamble responsibly. Of course, we aren't touts, we aren't tipsters, but we have won 283 bets so far, so that's nothing to shake a stick at.
No, you got a 20-1 and a. What was the one? We had a 10-1 last week as well. Joe had over 7-1 one on the passing yards. Yeah. And these were all just last week. So,
and this is just last week. Yeah,
bangers everywhere.
Bangers absolutely everywhere. There was 6. So we had loads. So I mean, bad time to probably talk through this, but the biggest ones we had obviously your 20. I've gone to week 18. Your 20-1 one, obviously. 27-4, so just short of 7-1. 9-1 you had as well, Byron. I had a 5-1. Joe had a 5.5-1. 11-4, so just short of 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's profit for you.
No,
we didn't hit another bet that week. I'm sure we hit a few evens money 10-11 ones as well, but
you
hit a few 20s and 7-1s, you've got to make profit.
Yeah, I went 7 out of 10 last week. So I was 7, and that was on the props as well. So 7 out of 10 bets. Not to brag. 70% makes you a lot of fucking money. Yeah, it really does.
When you're hitting playoff form, you're hitting playoff form.
Yeah. I'm really good in the playoffs. I don't know, again, not to brag. Like the playoffs, it tends to hit a bit of a good run. Anyway, let's stop bragging. ATS picks.
Well, I was reminded of something a really wise man said recently. You make your money in the regular season, you make your legacy in the playoffs.
There you go. Yeah, you win your regular season. You make your name in the playoffs. Shout out, Coach Rambo.
What a guy.
That was just so good. How cool was that last week? That was just fucking awesome, wasn't it?
Very much so. Sadly, I was working when the interview was on, but yeah, great to catch up.
He wants to come back on, so we'll get him back on maybe for the Super Bowl preview, which will be awesome. Cool. Right, ATS, and we'll wrap up. Byron, you need to move there.
Got on my screen.
I know, yeah, so sorry.
That's been there for like 20 seconds, yeah.
I know, it was just there for so long, I didn't realise. So, in our ATS competition, all the way through the playoffs to the 30 playoff games, I'm 4-2 after a good week last week. Byron Joe trailing behind 2-4. We are all on the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia, we are, sorry. On us. If you're looking for reasons why the Bills might get beat this week, or if the Bills end up getting beat, you can look at us. Good teams and great teams cover. The only one that we're all on this week, so it is guaranteed to, I guess, no, the Bills are going to get beaten, aren't they? Joe's and me are riding on his 49ers. I think Joe might just be out of blind loyalty. I like the 7.5. You mentioned that. Obviously, you've taken it the fourfold. You like the Seahawks to hammer them. New England Patriots, I'm on the -3 again. I talked about I'd love the hook, but with me and you have taken it. Joe's going with the defense, going with Houston Texans. And then, Byron back in the Bears, absolutely as you should. I love the 3 and a hook here as well. Again, if this was the other way, I probably would have taken the Rams, but I love the 3.5 here. I think they can cover. Don't know if they can win, but I certainly think they can cover. Game of the week, it looks like.
Oh, it's going to be a great week of football, though.
Absolutely. So, strap in, get ready for 4 fantastic games. We'll be back on Tuesday.
We'll
Tuesday.
Monday night,
we'll record Monday night. We'll put it out. It'll be out Tuesday with our divisional round review, and then we're down to our last 4 episodes of the season. Possibly a 5th during the break, should I actually get the Mastermind final edited at some point. Which is a joke.
Didn't know that I'm gone out yet.
Yeah, it still hasn't gone out yet. I will get to editing it. And also we might have just some bonus mini episode of the torture of me and Taco Bell, which is happening a week. I think I'm going to do it a week on Saturday.
Yeah, that midweek one.
No, 2 weeks on Saturday. The week between the Super Bowl, the Conference Championship and the Super Bowl. So 2 weeks on Saturday. That would be right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and we will have a tweet thread and some live videos of me in a Taco Bell booth somewhere in West or South Yorkshire, not being able to leave until I've eaten God knows how many calories.
Can't wait.
Give me somewhere like 15,000. I think we might have to retire these punishments after that, because I think I'm in serious danger of death.
You picked the challenge.
I know I did, but kind of new to. Well,
actually, and you can also just sit there for 24 hours. You don't have to eat a single calorie.
I could just sit there.
Well, you might have to eat a single one. I'm not sure how they'd take you just sitting there.
They also aren't open for 24 hours in the UK.
Oh, you better get munching then.
Yeah, so I need to eat quite a lot just to leave before they shut. So yeah, they're open 11 till midnight, maybe most of them 11 a.m. till midnight. They don't do what they don't have in the UK. They don't have a breakfast menu for Taco Bell.
Taco Bell breakfast menu is fucking great.
Yeah, we don't have that, so which is a shame, because that would help me out a lot, I think. But yeah, we don't have a Taco Bell breakfast menu. So yeah, I'm hammering the tacos from 11 a.m. I'm going to be waiting outside, basically. I don't have to go for a run in the morning or something, just to try and get super hungry. And
well, you'll certainly have the runs on the night, so.
Maybe, yeah. I'm worried that I'm going to die shitting myself in a Taco Bell booth. Is basically how my life is going to end.
Yeah, you want him to get to see the Super Bowl?
I know, sad. Right, well, hopefully you do. Make sure you follow Good Teams and Great Teams Cover, available on the audio podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Overcast. The video version available on YouTube. Catch us at GTW_GTC, where you could have caught 283 winning bets on Instagram, X, TikTok, Blue Sky. We'll have a Charlie pick as well. I think he's going to be picking the Bears game. And he's hit playoff form as well, so follow us all. Share, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. Every little helps. And we'll see you on Tuesday for our NFL Divisional Round review show.